I was thinking about going up to 147 to get a world title up there with the IBF champion up there. I think his name is Lewis
Interview
Crockle.
where you said you kind of wouldn't be interested in fighting Subriel Matias because of the IBF hydration rule, but then he loses to Paro, and now you're fighting Paro. Some people claiming like that was a duck move.
And
What would you say?
I know Matias style. He's a guy that's like he's constantly coming forward, and he's a guy that's also saying like the IBF rule don't bother me. Like it's easy to do the IBF rule. Like I know he done said that. So me, I'm like, when I fought Lemos, I ate like breakfast or some shit. And I went up to like 156, boom, and I had to lose 6 pounds the day before the fight. So I'm like, if that's Matias in front of me, like that's signing up for that's putting myself putting my back against a rope. So I'm like, nah, like I'm not. I'm like, if I was telling my manager, like, yo, like if we get the opportunity. Of course, I was gonna fight Matias. If they were saying, "Yo, this is the only chance for the world title," I was gonna fight him. Yeah, even now to this day, I still ain't comfortable with the IBF. To be honest,
It's getting hard to be a Richardson Hitchins fan. Everybody know I'm a big Richardson Hitchins fan. I'm a fan of the reach, the height, especially at the weight class. Beautiful boxer, great boxing ability. He could push the pace. I like that he's getting a little bit more confident fighting in the pocket. It's time to step up and fight guys with different styles. Not fighting the same caliber of a guy that a boxer of your stature should beat easily. Guys who walk in quicksand. Guys who come in there with a game plan, and once they get pop, 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 now they switch their approach, and now they're going in there trying to box. A boxer could beat a boxer, but a guy who is predominantly, aggressive, looking to push the pace, looking to throw a bunch of punches, what we've seen in a lot of these fights with those guys is that when they get in there with boxers and start getting touched up, they realize that the guy's too fast. We see them switch their whole game plan. They lose that aggression, and then they start trying to box with that boxer. And that's why these boxers are running through these guys, because these guys are easily able to be taken out of their game plan. Subriel Matias, he has the same style. Come forward, throw a bunch of punches, cut the ring off, make it look scary. And, me personally, I would like to see you get in there with a guy like that, because it'll assess your ability boxing guys, at a higher level. Guys that you can't take them off their game plan so easily because they have so much experience fighting their style of fight. I'm not gonna lie, Richardson Hitchins is my favorite fighter at 140 pounds. And it hurt my heart as a fan to see all this ducking that he doing. I'm hearing you call out a bunch of these guys' names. I'm hearing each interview, from interview to interview, you willing to, wanting to, but you're not. And it's confusing to me because I got excited about you fighting Jermaine Ortiz. In the same interview, you said he wasn't next. You got a mandatory that you got to take care of. So now as a fan, one minute you got me, I'm super excited, super excited. Now I'm like, damn. Oh, he gonna fight this person? He meet up with Keyshawn. Oh, they finna fight me. Yeah, let's get it. Nah, he not next. I'm like, damn, you taking your fans on an emotional roller coaster because we want to see you go in there and do that shit that you do day to day in that boxing gym. You got all the talent in the world, man. The way that you fight is beautiful. It's art in there. You know what I'm saying? And it's just you doing yourself a disservice by not, because you early in your career. Beat up some of these guys now, then later it make a little bit more sense. You get you a couple tune-ups in there because you done already beat a Subriel Matias. You already done beat a Antoine Russell. But you're not taking none of those chances. And I just hate as a fan of yours that, you're not as, you so risk adverse, and it's like when you a handsome type of guy, right? You got all the clothes, all the drip, but every time a girl come talk to you, you fucking it up. Your breath stinking, you stuttering. It's like, man, you don't even know your potential, bro. You could have all the hoes in the world if you just learn how to. And that's how I feel about Hitchins. He could have all the accolades in boxing just with his boxing ability, his boxing talent. He been in there with some of the greats that's coming up right now. Shakur Stevenson, Keyshawn Davis, Gervonta Davis. Let's see you get in there with some of these guys and beat them up when they not on your level. And if you moving up in competition and you can't get them guys out of there or hurt them guys like that, and you got to box your way to a decision, you know, me as a fan of yours, I'm going to give you credit. Because a lot of people pushing that narrative that you a habitual ducker, that you're a guy that don't want to fight nobody. And like I say always, whenever I make a video about you, you have everything it take. You got everything it take. You beautiful in there. When you get in there, it's like you painting a masterpiece. You know what I'm saying? The jab, the footwork, you know what I'm saying? Your ability to counterpunch, catch, slip. You could do anything in there, but I just personally would like to see you do it with a guy that push the pace, a guy that come forward. You know, they got that same type of Sean Porter style, Pitbull Cruz style, you know, and I feel like the best person to get in there with, you know, whether he win or lose is Subriel Matia. You know, you moving to 147 right now, look like you clout chasing, right? And that's how it go in boxing. You up, then you down. I see you see Devin Haney going up there making noise, so you want to make noise too. But you got to have your own career path, your own career plan, and it can't be based off what another fighter is doing. You know, do you be that man at 140? Because you seen what Alberto Puello did to Gary Antoine Russell. You seen what happened to that. And you seen what happened in that fight. I'm saying you could go in there and make it look easy with your boxing ability, but you won't. Why? Because you're so risk adverse. You know what I'm saying? And your fans is getting sick. I already mentioned that the IBF is in a direction that you would like to go in because you don't feel like that you'll be your best. So instead of going up to 147 trying to get an IBF opportunity, why not fight the guys that's in your weight class? You know, you got Gary Antoine Russell. You can fight the winner or the loser of Dalton Smith and Subriel Matia, right? Tiafimo and Shakur Stevenson, they booked up right now. You can fight the loser or the winner of that, right? We getting in a point in boxing where it's a lot more guys trying to unify than not. You know, so it shouldn't be hard for you to make a fight right now, you know, and you're in a position where you got what everybody want, which is a title. You know, it's not going to be hard to make fights with these guys.